Hello and welcome to Wildcat Week. I'm Roger Alcock. IW football was on the road this last weekend against Lawrence Tech up in Southfield, Michigan. The Wildcats fought hard and won with a final score of 38-24. Here to talk about that road victory is the head coach of the Wildcats, Jordan Lang. So, Coach, welcome back to Wildcat Week, and congratulations on going to 5-1 now in the season. But getting that victory on the road, that's really only the second real road game of the year, but kind of a real road trip in terms of an overnight trip and that kind of stuff. So I just kind of curious how that whole process went, because again, it's a new learning experience.
Yeah, I think logistically it went really well. Coach Sharon, our director of operations, did a great job of planning out the trip, and it's all part of a learning and growing experience for our kids. I mean, going overnight, new environment, new place, you know, all these different changes, sceneries, and be able to come out emotionally, mentally, and physically responding. I think it's a difficult thing to do, and I think winning college football games is a hard thing to do. So at times, I don't think our response was where it should have been early in the game, but really proud of our kids for pulling it out there on the road.
And just for sake of people curious, how many guys do you actually take on a road trip like this? What do you travel with?
Our travel party is around 85 people, and then we'll bring around 60 to 65 players, the rest of it coaches and support staff.
All right, well, we're taking a look at some of the highlights from this game. It was really a little chilly day up at Lawrence Tech, but it was a nice afternoon. First quarter, you know, they were really fired up. It's their first ever homecoming, their startup program. But you do get on the board first on this field goal from Ben Von Gunten.
Yeah, the opening kickoff was a fumble and we recovered it, so we stole the possession and got points, which was a really good way to start it. We didn't really start off with the same intensity throughout the next couple drives here as we gave up a turnover, which forced the defense to defend a short field, which is always really difficult to do. And I think that this was part of our learning and growing, that we could have came out of the gates a little bit sharper than we did this time, but ultimately our kids got it on track.
I was going to ask you, I would assume part of the strength of Lawrence Tech offensively is their passing game, because I know they look to throw the ball a lot, and they do get the score there early off that turnover, and a little kind of crazy play there on the kick.
Yeah, well, they scored quickly off the turnover, which they capitalized on our mistake. Then they tried to pile it on with the onside kick. Great job of the kick return team getting it back. Then our offense started to roll a little bit and get into a rhythm, and we got on the ground and held them off a little bit, so that was good to see. And then we gave up a couple explosive plays early here on defense, and I think that, once again, our kids responded well. Overall, it was a really good defense performance if you look at the numbers, and we just need to respond to some of our team mistakes. We made some mistakes on special teams, but overall, it was a really good team win.
The good news on this drive is, you know, obviously they got down the field, but you didn't give up the touchdown on this drive. You know, they have to settle for a field goal, and so the defense did stiffen up there. Yeah,
we stiffened up there, and there's another time where, I mean, really it came down to some poor special teams plays, a turnover by our offense, and then an explosive play by our defense, and all those three things that we try to pride ourselves not doing. And then the defense got it back for us here with this fumble. Offense turned around and put it in the end zone, and that was good. That was good for us to respond. And this was just part of responding, and it's part of learning and growing from a young team against another team who was really fired up to play us.
Well, there you saw Braden Smith with the touchdown grab. A really nice little play here, and you know, as we're in the second quarter, after the missed extra point, this is really kind of the point of the game, though, where you guys really, I guess you would say, start to take over the football game.
Yeah, it started to, and we started getting a rhythm offensively. Zach started getting a rhythm at the quarterback position. Our offensive line started running the ball well, so it was good for us to kind of respond. To be completely honest, we were probably 15 minutes late in the way we would like this to respond, but we did do that. This was a mistake here early on in the third, but after that we kind of bottled it up.
Yeah, we're in the third quarter now, up 16-10, but the third quarter was big for you guys, where you really stretched out your lead. But I know you mentioned a couple times, if there's one thing you look at this game and let's say we really have to kind of clean that up. There's way too many turnovers.
Yeah, well, even getting to this point, we can't give the ball back to them on special teams. That was no good. And right before that play happened, we had them in 3rd and 26 and got a pass interference call that shouldn't have happened, and got them back into position to score. So it's those small things that we can't take for granted. We can't take for granted that we won the football game, because that's hard to do. But also we can't take for granted these small discipline things that, even though we've kind of made our money on being a disciplined football team, we can't take those things for granted. We got to be focused on them every time.
Big play here to Braden Smith, and really nice, well-thrown football there by Zach.
Yeah, Zach threw some really good throws down the stretch here that got us set up. This is a nice little tight end line of scrimmage screen that Seth Hobson was good to get him going. The tight ends in general caught 3 or 4 passes and kind of got involved in the pass game, and that was cool to see because we have some real talent in that position.
I was going to ask you a little bit about that as well, because I don't think we've seen a ton of the tight ends involved in there, but they're starting to get them in the flow of the offense.
Yeah, Tyler Thomas had 2 catches and a big one on a 2-point conversion, and Seth Hobson coming back off the wrist injury earlier in the year, getting a score, and so it was good. It was good. I mean, when we were rolling, and we had all the gears turned at the same time. Devontae Alford, another great game. We just got, for us, in the stretch we've coming up with our schedule, we've got all 3 phases have to be doing that in order to be competitive.
You know, we saw Devontae get the touchdown there, but Josh ran hard for you and well for you. I think he had just over 5 yards of carry. So he's still a big part of that offense.
Yeah, all 3 running backs are doing a great job of keeping it balanced, and that's just a huge help to us to keep guys fresh and to kind of have a different flavor with each one of them in there.
That was kind of a play that probably had to drive you a little bit crazy because you had the lead, but that's the kind of play that maybe could let a team back into a football game.
Yeah, we had 2 of those right in a row, and then Justin Johnson makes just an incredible football play here.
Oh, yeah. That was the interception of the year.
Yeah, and there's not much scheme in that. It's about recruiting really good players, and so we bounced back off that mistake, so that was really cool to see. And then just a dime of a throw by Zach to Amon in the slot, which we go down and score. And this was the point where we kind of put the game to bed. But to be honest, I wish we wouldn't have got to this point in time.
You got this field goal there. Excuse me, the missed field goal attempt, and another big interception though. And again, the defense. Obviously you don't like your turnovers on your side, but to have 3 interceptions and 2 fumble recoveries.
Yeah, to take the ball away 4 times. I think we made them punt 6 times. They scored those 4 scores on 17 drive attempts, which is just over 2 points per drive, which is a really big stat for us. And then we actually probably dropped another interception that we had an opportunity at. So good to, again, just a team win, picking each other up, getting the ball back to the offense in a good position, and then putting the ball away here late.
That was an interesting touchdown there because Devontae untouched on that play, but just kind of being patient and waiting for that hole to develop. They got a touchdown there at the very end of the game. It didn't affect the outcome of the game. But,
we got some of our backups in, and we're thankful for those guys' effort coming in, and I think it was good to get those guys some game action. And then I think they actually came back with an outside kick that we had to recover too, so we had a little fight there at the end.
Every week when we talk to coaches, it inevitably comes down to, when they talk about defense, we want to stop the run, and offense, we want to run the ball. And I think this game, maybe it's a really good example of that. You guys, great balance on offense, 204 yards passing, 198 yards rushing, but you limited them to only 40 yards rushing. And that I would think had to be
last week against St. Francis Joliet, we didn't play a great run defense, and we were undisciplined at times. We came back, and Coach Aldrin and Coach Nightingale got their front 7 guys right. And they came out, I think they rushed the ball for 52 yards or something like that. But so that was good, and I think that with our run game offensively, that's kind of been our identity, and we got back on track ultimately, and we had to get Zach in a little bit of rhythm to spread him out. And then once we started to spread him out, we started to run the ball a little more effectively too. So that was good to see both sides of the ball.
Well, next week it's back up into the Great White North, up at Adrian, Michigan, take on Siena Heights, a really, really good football team. Maybe the biggest challenge of the year for the Wildcats, I don't know. But you guys are really going to have to play well up there and hopefully eliminate maybe the turnovers.
Yeah, I mean, we're gonna go against the best team we faced. It's a top 25 football team that had a chance to beat St. Francis of Fort Wayne in overtime last week, and they're going to run the ball. They have an identity. They're going to be physical, and we've got to show up and fight for 60 minutes with a whole lot of discipline. And we have to play together as a team. It's going to take the type of effort that we had 2 weeks ago at St. Francis Joliet to come out this victory, and we're capable. Our kids will be in every position to get it done. It's just we have to be focused on every single rep of giving our best.
All right, well, Coach, again, congratulations on the win, 5-1 now, and thanks for stopping by.
Thanks, Trey.
As we said, Wildcat football will be back on the road again this Saturday against Siena Heights, the Saints up in Adrian, Michigan. Game time starting at noon. Well, when we come back, men's soccer is closing in on its Crossroads postseason tournament. We'll be back to talk with the head coach, Luke Sanford. Welcome back to Wildcat Week. Men's soccer is working their way through the conference, and with only 2 weeks to go in the Crossroads League until the tournament, we're going to talk with the head coach of the Wildcats, Luke Sanford. So, Coach, welcome into Wildcat Week. And we were talking just before we went on the air that, you know, it's a couple weeks until conference tournament play, but the conference regular season's been a little bit of a zoo this year, hasn't it? It's been crazy.
Yeah, I mean, our conference has tons of parity. And so Spring Arbor definitely is a clear favorite, I think, at the top of the league. They haven't lost in the league yet, but then after that, it's anyone's guess. So it seems like every Wednesday and Saturday, the standings completely shift. So, yeah, we're sitting in a good spot. If we can get some results here at the end of the regular season, then put ourselves in a pretty good place, we think.
You've also battled a lot of injuries, and we're going to talk a little bit more about that when we see some highlights of the Marion game. But great start to the season. You battled through some injuries, but now you're starting to get some guys back.
Yeah, I mean, I think, you know, Saturday was the first time in over a month we've been able to start Douglas and Ciro, our 2 center backs, together, and that's such an important position, and typically a position that you want lots of continuity with, and you don't substitute very much. So to have them back, and they both scored and they both played really well. They're both fantastic players, and so that's definitely been a blow. But you know, at least in college soccer, it's all about peaking. I think in most college sports, it's about peaking at the right time. Yeah. So we've been trying to preach patience and diligence to the guys, and hope that we peak at the right time in the season.
Well, against Marion, you guys. We're going to take a look at some highlights here. I mean, this was, you know, a home game, but a really important game for you guys to get back on the winning side.
Yeah, for sure.
But first half, pretty much scoreless. So we're going to take some look at some highlights in the second half, and the Marion gets on the board first, and as they put it in the back of net.
They did just kind of a poor angle taken in our back line, and a good finish. Now, not much you can do about that in goal, but. Yeah, the guys kind of put on some pressure after that, and I think you know, we've been really working with our wings on going at guys 1 versus 1, and Will McComb does that well here, beats his man, and sets up a good opportunity. Sammy puts a shot on frame, and Douglas gets a good deflection on it, and it's just good to get bodies in front of the goal, and guys being opportunistic and anticipating well, so it was good to tie the game up.
Well, so, you know, you're tied up, and that was a nice little play right there.
Right. So I mean, that's Ciro Castro. He's a senior. I mean, had he played the whole season, we're probably talking about an All-American. Phenomenal player, and just I mean, such an athletic play right there to put that in. And we kept on putting good pressure. As CJ Strauss right there, he's really grown into his own this year and has had a fantastic season as our 10. And a player that we feel like you know, we're fortunate to have, and feel like he's grown a lot as a player in his time here at the program. And the guys, you know, showed a little bit of backbone and stayed tough towards the end of the game and rode out a 2-1 result. It's always good to come from behind. I think it shows some grit and character in the team, and we were able to do that. And so obviously, you know, glad with the result.
Well, you got up 2-1. They had a little scoring opportunity there at the end, but you're able to hold on. But so now that sets up kind of a 3-game stretch to close out the regular season. It starts with Taylor, and of course, anytime Indiana wants to see Taylor play, it really doesn't matter the sport.
It's totally true.
But there's a lot on the line at this one, and you know, keep a win streak alive and continue to prove your standings in the conference going into postseason. Yeah. What do we know about Taylor?
Well, this is probably the best Taylor's been set up at this point in the season in a few years, and so we're currently sitting 4th, and they're sitting 5th, and so home field, you know, is potentially on the line for the first round game, and like you said, it doesn't usually take much to motivate either team to play this game, and I think for us, it's going to be about controlling the emotion of the game, having poise, and moving the ball faster than we did against Marion. Our ball speed wasn't quite what we want it to be. So we'll be working on that next couple of days. And I mean, at this point in the season, it's about getting guys healthy. You know, practice looks pretty light for most of the time. Just trying to get guys fresh to go again on Wednesday. It's a little bit crazy to be rolling so many soccer games. on each other, but that's just what it is. And so, get guys healthy and fresh and ready to go back at it on Wednesday.
And last thing on this, just as a note, this game will be at Oak Hill High School.
Right.
Because of
Right.
field conditions.
Yeah.
It's been switched to Oak Hill High School, where it's a turf field. Does that change the game much?
Honestly, I think it's good for us. The way we like to play, it's a consistent surface and it's a fast surface. And so the way we like to move the ball, it generally favors us. And so I think it's really nice to have we'll train on the turf here this afternoon, and that's really nice to have. And it's not anything guys aren't used to, and it's not a huge adjustment. And I think that the guys like it because it's a pretty clean surface. The ball moves well, and that'll be important for us to do well against Taylor.
Well, Coach, again, congratulations on the victory against Marion, 2-1. Go to 8-5-1 on the season. Good luck against Taylor. That'll
Appreciate
be a big
it.
one.
Thanks a lot.
As we said, the men's soccer team will be back in action Saturday, October the 20th against Bethel. That'll be after the Taylor game. That game start is a 7 p.m. game. Well, when we come back, Mikala Woodfork will bring us the breakdown, and we'll take a look at IW women's swimming as they start their season. Well, welcome back to Wildcat Week. We have so many sports competing on this campus. We usually don't have time to talk about all of them, but to bring us up to date, in a 2-minute drill, we welcome Mikala Woodfork with the breakdown.
Thanks, Roger. No surprise that the Wildcats had another great week this past week. Men's golf finished in second place in the 2-day Egypt Valley Intercollegiate hosted by Taylor. Taylor came in first with a score of 291, and the Wildcats were just 9 strokes behind them with a 300, and Grand Rapids came in third with 305. Wildcat Volleyball got their 10th straight win of the season against Goshen on Wednesday the 10th. The Wildcats won the match in 3 straight sets and had a total of 44 kills for the night. Anna Collar had a great game with a match-high 14 kills, which was 6 more than any other player at the match. She also had 10 digs and 2 block assists. This win leaves the Wildcats with a record of 16-10 overall and in second place at 11-3 in the Crossroads League. Wildcat football beat fellow startup team Lawrence Tech 38-24 to take them to 5-1 for the year. Devadney Alford had a game high of 97 yards rushing along with 2 touchdowns. On top of that, Joshua McKenzie had 74 yards on a 6.2 yards per carry. Women's soccer was able to end a scoreless tie against 17th-ranked Marion this past weekend, with the closest person to scoring being Tristan Gonzalez with an attempt in the 2nd minute. Although they couldn't come away with the win, Coach Seifert said that a point on the road in this competitive league is never a bad thing. The men's team, however, was able to beat Marion. The final score was 2-1. Douglas Oliveira scored the first goal in the 58th minute, and Cyril Castro scored the second in the 71st minute, making this their second Crossroads League win. It might be getting cold outside, but we're finally getting to dive into the pool. Women's swimming had their first meet this past weekend and finished 5th out of 6 teams in the Indiana Intercollegiate. Emma Travis and Sydney Darnell were big leaders for the team as they qualified for 3 NAIA All-American events each. Well, that's all I have for you this week on The Breakdown. Back to you, Roger.
Well, thanks, Mikala. We look forward to the breakdown each and every week. Well, IW Swimming officially began its season this past weekend, and here from the swim team are Caroline Warner and Whitley Eicher. And ladies, welcome to Wildcat Week. I know this is kind of on your bucket list and fulfills a lifelong dream of being on Wildcat Week. But
Absolutely.
hey, let's give folks a little introduction to who you are and where you're from. Whitley, why don't we start with you? Just kind of where you're from, what you're studying, and what events do you swim for Indiana Wesleyan?
Yeah, I'm from Columbus, Indiana. I'm studying physical and health education with a minor in Mandarin Chinese. And Coach has signed me for butterflies, so I'm expecting to swim butterflies sometime this season, but I swam the IM and breaststroke over this weekend.
Okay, all right. And Caroline, what about you?
Yeah, I'm Caroline Warner, but I am a sophomore on the swim team, and I'm a nursing student. Hopefully would like to do peds in the future, but I am signed for the 100 butterfly and the 2 free, but I actually found out recently that I have a bulging disc, so I can't do fly anymore.
Oh, okay.
But, and I didn't swim this past weekend because we were figuring out what was going on with my back, so yeah.
But you're going to be swimming probably more relegated to the freestyle stuff now.
Yeah, so now it'll definitely just be freestyle.
Well, I know people don't know about swim a lot, but I mean, injuries are a part of the sport, especially shoulder and back, sometimes knees and hips and things like that. Madison Whitcomb is dealing with a shoulder injury right now. I know Claire Kastner's out, but we're going to take a look at some of the action from this weekend, and I'll start with you, Whitley. It's got to be fun though to know after all the preseason workouts and all the work you put in it to start at Purdue and kind of a fun event with great competition.
Yeah, as a club swimmer earlier, I've swam at IU's pool, but to be able to say I've swam in Purdue's pool as well is really cool.
And there's some pretty good competition there as well. I mean, Purdue, Evansville, a couple, I think, other Division I's and some really solid Division II and III schools there. And I know this was the very first meet ever for Wildcat swimming last year, and you were there, Caroline. But good to go back to Purdue and see maybe how the team has improved and grown.
Oh yeah, no, I really think, especially mentality-wise, from last year to this year has increased quite a bit. I feel like people coming back were really prepared for this year, and honestly, the freshmen, I feel, were also pretty mentally prepared. That it didn't seem like anybody was stressed out or really kind of doubting their abilities. They all swam very well for their first meet.
You know, I don't know. I'll ask you this, Whitley, because moving into college swim, it's a little bit different than high school or club because swimming, kind of like track. I mean, it's an individual sport in some sense, but I know it's also a team sport as well.
Absolutely.
And just want to get your sense of like how this team is coming together and what it's been like to be a part of this group in terms of your college experience.
Right. So on my high school team, we had a really big family aspect, and I was beyond blessed to be able to come on this team and feel quite near to that same feeling. Obviously, it's different, and I'm still learning how this team works and stuff since I'm so new, but I love it, and I think we all work really well together.
Caroline, you were telling me kind of before we went on the air that people know that swim is kind of that legendary sport where it's the early morning hours and you swim before school and after school and year round, but it really is a year-round thing because I was asking you about preseason and then you go into regular season, but kind of you put in perspective that your season really never ends, does it?
Yeah, so someone actually this year asked how long season was, and I jokingly said 4 years, but it honestly is the truth because you're in season, and then when you get out of season, you might have a 2-week break, but then you just start preseason again, and then you're in it for the summer, and then you're right back to school. So, I mean, it's just constant swimming, and especially during the summer, it's a lot about yardage, so you're swimming long yardages, and it's intense and very tiring.
Well, for sure. Well, again, congratulations on the start of your season and a good showing at Purdue. And I know it is a long season. Up next is Anderson, but we really wish you guys the best of luck during your year number 2 for Team 2 of IW Swim.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us on Wildcat Week, ladies. And as we said, the ladies will be competing against Franklin and Anderson at a dual meet on October the 26th. That meet will start at 6 p.m. down at Franklin College. Well, that is all we have for you on this episode of Wildcat Week. If you would like to see more of Wildcat Week, you can visit our website, wiwtv.com. There you can watch past episodes and connect with us online. Again, that is wiwtv.com. And you can stay connected with all our local programming by subscribing to our YouTube channel. That's WIWTV 51. Well, we look forward to seeing you next week. So for all of us here, thank you for watching Wildcat Week.